Hello, I'm back again after my introductory video, minus baseball cap this time, as Mrs. B and some others like my sisters basically cyberbullied me into taking me off, saying what you're wearing one inside for. So I've got no hat on. There may be some glare from the forehead, but it looks to be okay on my screen. So this video is a to the point video on basics on getting a garden bird photograph, hence the title of the video, From the Garden to the Frame. It's going to just progress through a bit of what my equipment is. It's not in detail, it just shows you what it is so you know what I'm using in the video. That's about a minute and a half long. Then there's a section on the setup, the garden, the perch, some video of the birds, some shots of the birds, some reasoning why I do it. That's about 6 minutes long. Then there's a section on post-processing, which for some of you might be dull as anything. You're not exactly going to crack open the beers or gin and watch it, but it does explain why you do post-processing. I've speeded it up, so I'm not explaining what the software is, it just shows you what I've done to post-process the image. Then I've done a section for about 3 minutes on mounting the photographs, because I do sell some at craft fairs, which I said in the introductory video, and it just explains how I do that. So all in all, it's about 14 minutes long, and I hope it gives you good insight into how I get the photographs with a view that you could possibly go out and have a go yourself. So I hope you enjoy it and get something from it. Is that any better? I use a 4/3 mirrorless system, which is my main camera body, which you can see there. I have a 100 to 400mm telephoto zoom lens. I have a macro 45mm lens for the closer work, and a trigger firing system for shooting images from when I'm inside on the brew and biscuit in the house. Moving on, the telephoto zoom lens is covered with that neoprene lens cover there, just for camouflage and protection if I'm out in the field. You can see how it extends there. It's an interchangeable lens system, which is really easy to do. So there I'm just changing to the macro lens. Do be careful of that inner circle there, that's the camera sensor. If you damage it or it needs cleaning, it can be expensive. That's the kit that I use. Now, attaching the wireless system, that top receiver there just goes into that hot shoe at the top. It's not connected electronically, that we do that via that cable which connects the receiver there to the camera, so that will communicate with the camera and fire the camera to take the picture, and that's done with that remote trigger there, which will communicate and then fire the camera. The garden setup itself, I have a tree feeder at the top and a ground feeder, which I will explain shortly. It will become apparent why it's like that. And the camera itself I use has got that heavy lens, so I need a sturdy tripod really for keeping the camera still. Here you've got in the distance the perch and the ground feeder, and the camera zoomed in on the perch from a distance. Now what I'll show you here is the lens zooming in. I'm only going to do it on the feeder for this example, so you can see it zooming in there, and you choose your composition and how far you want it to be zoomed in. And then here you can see the recording of these green features, who are the hard nuts of the garden, bully everything else, although they are quite cute. And again, you've got to be quick with the camera. You do get snatch squads like this chaffinch in and out, and you've missed that one, so you do have to be quick if you're taking the photographs. Now the perch itself, you want to leave about 2 feet in between that and the feeder. The reason being, some of the larger birds will use the perch, and the blackbirds and pigeons, a bit heavier, and the way they flap will tend to knock the perch down off your composition. They do make a great photograph of blackbirds, so don't lose that opportunity. You'll see here we've got a Rodney, ideal for photograph obviously, jumping from to and from the perch. You've got your trigger shot there, that's where you start hitting your trigger, and again he's jumping back, again hit your trigger, and you've got your keepers, what we call keepers for the photographs. Perch itself, the way that's set up is again very straightforward, nothing complicated. You've got a stick, a clamp and a garden fork, and it's as straightforward as that. Again, be careful of the heavy birds knocking the perch down. This is the most important section. It's getting your composition and focusing. So you'll see what I'm doing here. I'll just focus on the back foliage, which turns blue. I've got what's called focus peaking on my camera, which gets you your best position for focusing. So you manually focus, don't autofocus, manually focus on the perch. You'll see it focus peaking there, it's gone blue. So technically, when the bird lands on there, it should be clear. What I will say, if the eye of any wildlife photo is not clear, it's not worth keeping. The eye needs to be clear really to get a good photograph. So there's the test shot of the perch. It's clear and crisp and sharp, which is what you want. So again, the bird should be clear and crisp as well. Here you've got the greenfinch. I'm having a broom biscuit in the kitchen and using the trigger system, and bang, there. Not a gun obviously, you don't want to be shooting the birds, that would be wrong. Trick is to get the birds to drop to the bottom is to remove that top feeder there, cooled there, look at that, not. And they should flood the bottom feeder, which they're doing now. You'll see this goldfinch has dropped down from the trees because there's no grub in the tree. They waste a load of seed, but it gets mopped up by the birds on the bottom. You don't need to collect it. The pigeons will tend to eat it all. Pigeons are a nightmare. Just very strange, weird sexual dances they do all day in the garden, positions like that. Are they producing baby pigeons? No idea. Never seen one. If you've seen a baby pigeon, let me know. And best composition, you've got Tweety Pie here. That's your sort of composition with all the head, the feet, the perch, all in the composition. That'd be good for print. What you don't want is it offset like that, unless you like pictures of birds, like feathered birds that is, but it's a bit naff, that picture. So here you've got the bird dropping down from the tree because there's no food. There's your trigger shot. Composition, sharp focus and time the trigger. You should end up getting a nice lovely photo like that, which would translate very well onto a print and into your frame. So hopefully if you've got to a point where you're managing to get a photograph with a bird on a perch, you're getting the composition, the clarity, the focus, it's definitely worth changing the perch so that you can vary the photograph. Some can be more pleasing than others, especially if you're looking at framing them put on the wall. So for example, I'll show you some photographs in a minute where there's one that I think I've got a blue tit on that tap there, which I fixed to some wood and then just clamped it to the spade as normal. Another thing I use is branches from a local wood that I collect. It's good when you get sort of either the soft moss covering, or you get this, I can't remember what you call it, is it lichen or lichen over the wood. Again, that looks good in a photograph, quite colourful. Then what I'm looking at hopefully getting, been trying for a while but not managed it, we've got this old brass, get it in the middle there, brass watering can here, and I'm hoping to get a robin or something on the top of there. Maybe it's like there and there, but it's taking a bit more planning. It's a bit difficult, that one. So give it a go, mix up the perches to change the photograph, and there's some examples coming up now. The next section of the video is just a very quick brief overview on post-processing or how I post-process. The reason photographers post-process, and that's professionals as well, is because the camera doesn't actually produce the image that you see with your eye. Things like light, highlights, shadowing and other factors affect the colour, so you don't get the image from the camera as you see it. So the post-processing, you can just do fine tweaks to get it back to how you saw it, and it needs to be fine tweaks. If you go overboard with it, it just looks naff. So this is going to show you very quickly how it's done. I'm not going to explain anything, you're just going to see what I do and then what the image was in the camera and what it ends up, hopefully what it'll be on a print. I've speeded it up, basically the cursor's going around a bit like Benny Hill on cocaine around the screen, but it's just to speed it up a little bit. As I said, I'm not explaining it, but I hope it gives a bit of an explanation as to why we post-process, so you get that image you want. So here we use Lightroom, as I said earlier, and you literally, I just go into the image, which you can see there, it's a little bit too bright for me, that. So there's just some fine adjustments that I do, which you'll see sliders moving there. That's an auto adjustment, it's gone a bit too yellowy for me. So I'll go back to the original, and that's the exposure there, going up and down to show you what it does. Contrast, highlights, other settings, whites, you can alter the amount of white in there, and the blacks there. So you can vary your photo quite a lot. You can make it a bit sharper, you can tweak the colour a little bit, tweak the red a little bit there. Then you can do the sharpness, so I've picked out on the image there what to make slightly sharper, which is the bird and the perch. And then you need to look at cropping your image. So you can view there's the two differences. The bright one was on the left, and the right one is the one I've just altered slightly. So now you crop your image, this is what's going to be on your printed image and in your frame. Obviously you don't want that because it just looks stupid, and you get the best one you can. I just do it to how I prefer it. There's a thing called the rule of thirds, where you have it on a sort of thirds, 2/3 of the image, but that's how I'd like that particular one of that go to. So you can see the difference in the two there, and there's the finished image. So for mounting the prints, I get my equipment off the internet. You've got a beveled mount card there, which is in white. You have a hard backing card for making it solid basically, and you have a thinner piece of card for the back of the print, which I'll explain why we do that shortly. And you have other bits and pieces, which are the tape, scissors and rule. The tape for doing the print needs to be acid free. There's a Robin print I took a good few years ago now. So the reason you use acid free tape is because over time the acid can eat into the gum of the tape, and it could basically drop, the print could drop within the frame. Now an important thing here is you only put tape on the top edge of the print where it's hanging, like so. The reason being, if you tape all the way around the outside, and when the temperature changes, the print can expand and contract, so it will flex or bow in the frame. So you only do the top edge like that there, so it allows it to move. Then for covering it, to flatten it against the mount, you put some thinner card on, which obviously you're going to cut round, but you want to do it about, I don't know, 1/2 inch either side of the print. This means that when you tape this piece of card down, it'll still allow the print to move within the frame. I've speeded this section up here because just watching me masking tape some paper is really dull. So you do all the edges there, normal masking tape, which puts the card on top of the print, keeps it flat. Then when you've done that, you're literally in a position just to put it onto the backing board, which keeps it solid for when it goes into the frame. There's your print there, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you how to put something in a frame, but what I will say, those pesky little tabs there, be careful you don't push your thumb right through them because they hurt. And there you go, there's the mounted image finished. So that's the video complete on garden bird photography. I hope you enjoyed it and you get something out of it if you want to give it a go. As I've said before, you can do this with a mobile phone, with a tripod and a Bluetooth trigger. You've got the editing functions within the phone, so you should be able to produce a photo similar to what I've done really. I am looking at getting out and about a bit more, maybe get some deer photographs, some kingfisher photographs, get some nature reserves, but I'll upload them as and when I can. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful, and I will speak to you soon.